rise of the true crime genre is a paradigm for the almost fanatic American fascination around crime. Stories such as Truman Capote's book, In Cold Blood, and Sarah Koenig's podcast, Serial, have been wildly successful, with In Cold Blood quickly becoming a bestseller, selling millions of copies worldwide, and Serial having over hundreds of millions of downloads. It is no wonder that true crime has become as popular as it has. It has compelling characters and stories, and meaningful conflict. However, with its popularity, a lot of concerns have been raised revolving around the ethics of true crime. People are concerned about the fact that producers have been exploiting greatly traumatic events for profit, especially at the expense of the victims' families. Additionally, diversity, or the lack thereof, has been another issue regarding true crime. This ultimately culminates into a broader issue that true crime has fostered: the misrepresentation of crime. True crime genre's undoubted motivation is to entice people to consume stories. It goes without saying that you probably wouldn't want to watch a series about the motivations of a sandwich thief. Put this in contrast with the case of Stephen Avery. After spending 18 years in jail for a crime he didn't commit, actually, just take a look at how Netflix presented this case.
Are you kidding me?
The disappearance of Teresa Halbach remains a mystery.
Mr. Avery's blood is found inside of Teresa Halbach's vehicle.
Steve, everybody's listening. What do you want to say today?
I'm listening.
If convicted, Stephen Avery will spend the rest of his life in prison.
Even with this short clip, your interest has been piqued. Making a Murderer has become one of Netflix's most popular series ever, with almost 20 million views in about a month of its release. True crime producers have taken advantage of the human psyche to translate crime into interesting, consumable media. This form of media, however, greatly skews the reality of crime. There is a long list of things that true crime misrepresents, and let me run you through some of the most important ones. While true crime, as was the case with Making a Murderer, largely focuses on violent crimes such as murder, a vast majority of American crimes are actually non-violent, with about 6 times as many crimes being non-violent as compared to violent. Additionally, white people are overrepresented as victims in true crime. The popular podcast, My Favorite Murderer, focused on white-on-white crime approximately 2/3 of the time in its first 150 episodes. According to the FBI, a majority of murder victims were people of color. Thirdly, in reality, 41.3% of murder victims were killed by someone they knew, whether it be a family member, friend, partner, or acquaintance. Only 9.9% of homicide victims were known to be killed by strangers. True crime largely and wrongly focuses on crimes committed by strangers. It's easy to ask, so what? So what if the media talks more about homicide? So what if minorities aren't well represented in true crime? So what if stranger on stranger crime is depicted? The answer to that lies in how the genre fosters a perception of crime in the United States. With the abundance of statistical misrepresentation in true crime comes an abundance of false perception regarding crime. This, combined with the monumental popularity of true crime nowadays, undoubtedly contributes to Americans dramatically overblowing their fear of crime. In terms of overblowing violent crime, a misleading perception is fostered where people are erroneously fearful of being victim to, say, a serial killer. On a micro level, this will cause people to neglect other aspects of personal safety, such as protecting belongings from theft. On a macro level, the public may pressurize politicians to push for extensive crime reduction measures, particularly on violent crime, when such measures may not be needed and where resources are better allocated to other social issues that are not as well represented in the media. That is not to say that being fearful of violent types of crimes is a bad thing. It is actually important to be aware of these crimes. But it is important to be wary of the correct things when it comes to protecting your personal safety. People, particularly women who make up a majority of true crime consumers, may take extra precautions to protect themselves from strangers, but may neglect the more statistically prevalent scenario, being victim to a known person such as a significant other. But because of the overrepresentation of stranger crime, people fail to even consider the possibility of being at risk by someone they know. In some cases, especially when true crime villainizes people of color, this false perception of crime can perpetuate racist stereotypes that accentuate racial divides among communities. This is because when one begins to attribute harsh crimes to people of color, they will take steps to avoid a certain type of person in the name of safety. This further extends to other minorities, such as members of LGBTQ+. In real crimes where a minority is a victim, the public can find it harder to empathize given the scenario at hand because their experiences have gone underdocumented. When the public is malinformed regarding a minority's experiences, it is more difficult to empathize with these experiences. This may lead to biased jury decisions or victim blaming. People may try to find experiences specific to a certain demographic to explain the perpetrator's actions. This divides societies in a way that demeans minorities. True crime unethically misrepresents crime in a way that could harm individuals and society, all in the name of profit.